All right, family, we're back. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Let us know if you can hear us. I'm here with my bro, AJ, from the Ball Don't Lie podcast. How are you doing today, brother?
Doing well, Ani. Thank you so much for setting this up. I know we've been talking about getting together for a little bit. I really enjoyed watching your live stream with Donut a couple weeks ago. Just very honored and blessed to be part of the community, especially folks that have, bigger followings. Ani, like I told you, I've been following your work for quite some time, about 5 years now, from Instagram. And I had no idea how much more expansive you are as far as your space in, YouTube and your weekly or daily Gematria decodes with your clients and whatnot. So I'm very impressed with your work. And I got a feeling I'm going to be learning a lot from you today. So I'm very excited.
Oh, yeah, man. I've been doing this for a while. If you guys don't know, I started damn near in 2015, 2014 area. I started off just doing little wild posts on Facebook, speaking about, conspiracy. One of the first videos I decoded was the Rihanna's Umbrella and the Eminem's Rain Man. You remember Rain Man with Eminem back in the day? I started decoding like Illuminati videos. I was devoted into Christianity, no familiar denomination. And then I got into the spiritual community with Bobby Hemmett and the other master teachers and started to learn about occultism along with metaphysics and how it plays a factor to how these people, the elite, run the world and set up the world stage. So then I got into the world stage stripped information. Bobby was an expert on decoding these strips that these people play out. So I started to become familiar with the drama, the interconnectedness of movies, TV series, and how it synchronizes. There's a syncretism to the symbology and the motion and cinemamancy to what they do day to day by what's popular in the news. Like today, we're going to cover some things with the Pope and other current news. One thing I noticed with the Pope, just to go off on a tangent right here, the movie Conclave came out like last year, and the producer of the movie, I think one of the writers, both name was Robert. The star actor name was Robert, and now our Pope name is Robert.
And his middle name is Francis, right? And he just took over for Pope.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Robert Francis Prevost is his full name. So what are the odds of that, you guys, with what Ani just said about the Robert connections with the Conclave movie? Or I don't know, was it a movie or a TV show on Netflix? I know exactly what you're talking about. I just forget if it was I think it was a TV show.
It was a TV show? Well, if it was movie or TV show, they do these things.
Yeah, what are the odds, right? Conclave comes out on Netflix. X amount of months later, Pope Francis dies. Now you have the conclave stepping in, deciding the next pope. I'll just chime in here really quick. One thing I didn't even know about was that whole process. And you guys, it's not like every day that we have a new pope. I mean, this is a big deal. Yeah. And when the conclave gets together, they did announce to the world that they have an oath of secrecy. That's the first thing. So they want nobody to know about what they're doing. But apparently what they tell us is all the cardinals and everybody else in the conclave, they submit their vote and then they burn the vote. And then the smoke comes out of the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City. And the first day, right? So the first day it started, it was black smoke, meaning telling the world we don't have a new pope yet. The next day, it was the white smoke, telling the world that we have a new pope. And think about this. Not only is it a big deal we have a new pope, but he is the first American pope, as they tell us, right? And he just so happens to be from Chicago. Makes me think about Barack Obama,
Yeah.
who was the first black president. And Obama was a White Sox fan, just like Pope Leo. And once again, you guys, Pope Francis, his name wasn't Francis. It was Jorge Mario Bergoglio. Pope Leo, his name isn't Leo. It's Robert Francis Prevost. There's a reason why they have these names. But think about in the world of sports, Ani, the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
What are their colors? Black and white, right?
Yep.
And one thing I was pointing out in my live stream last night, as well as anybody who follows me on my Winnable or Patreon when it comes to the world of sports betting, the White Sox are terrible. And all I pointed out to my followers was, hey, you guys, on the first day of Pope Leo being the new Pope, Mr. White Sox, white smoke, right? Black smoke to white smoke. The White Sox could pick up their 11th win of the season. And in Gematria, Pope equals 11.
Mm.
Right? Pope Leo also equals 14. He's Pope Leo the 14th, right? And they beat the Marlins, which kept the Marlins on 14 wins. So a little splash of Gematria, but really more of the symbolism and just what are the odds that the White Sox, the very first day that Pope Leo comes in, Mr. White Sox, they showed footage of him and photos of him at White Sox games wearing the White Sox hat during the 2005 World Series. So, yeah, I just wanted to plug that in there really quick, just to show how big of a deal this is, you guys. Once again, it's not every day that we have a new Pope. And don't forget about Donald Trump, who posted he did a tweet with an AI image of him as the new Pope.
Yeah,
Mr.
Magic. Right after he tweeted it, Francis, he dies, and then we get the new Pope weeks later,
whose middle name is Francis.
Whose middle name? I didn't know that. That's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, but no, thanks for sharing the Robert connections with that Conclave show on Netflix. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, the cinemamancy is very important. Like our brother Donut always hints at it. And I'm glad that he breaks that down, how he connects the TV shows, the movies. That's what I started doing 10 years ago. And I see other people are getting better at it and looking at symbolisms and the small things that people don't see. There's a lot of things people can't see because you have to have a certain type of light to look at this and see it from a different angle. One thing that I notice immediately, we're speaking sports and symbolism right now. The NBA just did the NBA draft, or the picking of the draft, not the NBA draft, the lottery, and how the Mavericks recently traded Luka Doncic. By the way, the word Luka is loose like light. If you break down the etymology of it, Doncic, you got that Don, that connection to Donald Trump, because his nickname is the Don. You know, sometimes, you know, he's the Don. Sometimes, I don't know, he has another nickname too. But Luka Magic, that's what they call him, Luka Magic. And the lottery pick, the number one pick is going to the Mavericks, and this comes after he's traded to the Lakers. And this is some of the magic with it. Kobe Bryant, the last player he was with before he met his demise in the helicopter crash, was with Luka Doncic. You know, the last photograph we have of Kobe Bryant at a NBA game was at a Mavericks game. Oh, you got it in there. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, so this is just one of my mini books. I guess really quick, I've written 10 books at this point. I've learned that there's always more to share, right? But by breaking it down into small mini books, this is something you could finish in like 20, 30 minutes. A lot of images. But Ani, yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up because, yeah, Luka means light. It means light bearer. He's a star. He was playing in the Lone Star State, Texas, right? And then now he, in the probably the worst trade of all time, he goes to the Lakers in Los Angeles, the home of Hollywood stars, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, he's very connected to light, but don't forget about he was in the finals last year. Sorry.
Yep.
So Luka Magic, he was playing against Lucky, the leprechaun. Lucky Luka. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Think about, the clover. And there's a big love theme with that. When you think of a clover, right? Each petal is in the shape of a heart. Well, the Mavericks play right down the street from Dallas Love Field. Airport, right? And I've been on this big love theme this year. There's so much love in the air, you guys. It's crazy. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this line of work, leaning into occult knowledge and why things are happening the way that they are. Really quick, think about the Super Bowl. Who won the Super Bowl, Ani?
Philadelphia Eagles.
Philadelphia is known as what? The city of
brotherly love.
Brotherly love. Yep. What happened right before the Super Bowl halftime show? Right before the halftime show, you had right before the halftime show, when Kendrick Lamar did his whole "They Not Like Us," they not like us, calling out Drake and all that. Right before that was a pick six by Cooper. Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean had that pick six. Then you had Uncle Sam show up. Well, it was Sam Jackson dressed up as Uncle Sam, introducing the halftime performance. Just so you guys know, Sam Jackson has the same exact birthday as Cooper Flag. And don't forget that the U.S. flag was first sewn in Philadelphia. So Philadelphia has that love connection and the flag connection. And you have Cooper DeJean of Philadelphia with the pick six. And then you have this back and forth with Cooper Flag, right? He got injured and everyone wondered if he was going to come back and play in the tournament, which he did. And then there's that other return theme about, is he going to come back to Duke next year? You and I both know that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, no, I just wanted to plug that in there. Yeah. And yeah, here we go. I just saw that video earlier this morning. How many times have we seen this kind of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of my main philosophies is extending the research on Crawley and the Golden Dawn's Moonchild experiment projects or rituals, Moonchild rituals, where these people, their whole lives are a big ritual within itself. Look at, this is going to be the #1 pick in the NBA draft. I mean, we all know he's going to be the #1 pick. What's the odds that he's 13 years old rocking the Mavericks on a shirt? Now, when Dirk Nowitzki, which was the big star of the Dallas Mavericks, when he won the championship in 2010, Cooper Flag was only 3 years old. Not to say that there's not someone else in his family that could have been a fan, but for him 10 years later, I mean, Dirk Nowitzki 10 years later he's retired by then. He's long gone, or not long gone, but he's gone recently. He's very favored in Dallas, but he wasn't doing nothing, too much the last 5 years, in and out of injuries, being more of a role player for when Luka came in. It's just interesting that he has this Dallas Mavericks shirt on, and he's going to be. And also, there was another picture I wanted to show you.
Ani,
they just
really
put
quick.
him on.
Ani, really quick. So Dirk wore number 41 for a reason, and he was playing alongside Steve Nash at a time, right? Who wore number 13, right. 41, the 13th prime. See what I'm saying? Dallas equals 41. Right? Dallas is a big connection to the number 41, but I just want to add that.
Kobe Bryant died at the age 41.
And he died with his 13-year-old daughter, where LA equals 41 and 13, which is why Luka is now in LA, right? So there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, and this is how they connect these things. And I believe that there's some weird experiment going on with these people. And I've been covering it for the last couple of years, but now I'm starting to connect it Moonchild research. Recently, he did the cover of Slam, Cooper Flag, we're talking about. And it says right here, he pledges allegiance to the Brotherhood. I wonder what that means.
Well,
And
just so you know, Ani, that what I learned too is that apparently Duke basketball, they call themselves the Brotherhood, right? So to somebody, you know, that is maybe not leading into the occult knowledge as much as we are, that would be something very quickly where they'll go, oh yeah, well, Duke basketball calls themselves the Brotherhood, so that's why they're doing this. But you and I both know that there's a lot more meaning behind that.
Well, it's funny they call themselves the Brotherhood and their mascot is the Devils.
No, exactly. You just reminded me of something, Ani. If you don't mind, I'm going to show something that I shared last night on my live stream with Occult Rejects. I think you'll get a kick out of this. Let me just request sent here, share screen. I'm still trying to get used to this whole StreamYard stuff, so I apologize for the delay.
No,
appreciate the patience. Hold on a second.
You guys make sure you're sending the video out and make sure you like the video and follow my bro here, Ball Don't Lie, on his YouTube channel.
I appreciate that, Ani. Thank you. Here we go. Yeah, so check this out. Can you see my screen?
I'm adding it to the stage. There we go.
Cool. So can you see it? I have it on kind of full screen, so I can't
Yeah,
tell.
we see it.
So I know this is a little messy, you guys, but look at this. Cooper Flag, right? His birthday, December 21st. Same birthday as Sam Jackson, who played Uncle Sam right after the pick six of Cooper DeJean. Okay. By the way, Ani, just so you know, if you look into the history of Uncle Sam, right, the guy who says, I want you, right? If you look into the history of Uncle Sam, that image was created by an artist named James Montgomery Flagg, spelt with 2 G's. Wow. And but staying on topic, Cooper Flagg, born December 21st, 2006. If you measure from his actual birthday and year to the date that Donald Trump returned in the inauguration, once again, he's born on Flag Day. Donald Trump was born on Flag Day. Look at that. 6,606 days apart. And in the Sumerian cipher, which I know you've talked a lot about, Sumerian's very important in the world of Gematria.
Yeah.
First pick equals 666. Blue Devils 666. Cooper DeJean 666 in the same cipher. So I thought that was just a good opportunity to just point that out about how perfect this is.
Yeah, the connections are flawless.
Yeah, it's freaking wild, man.
Yeah, someone asked in the chat, are the NBA players' lives predetermined? I think some of them, some of their lives, because we're getting ready on my channel, AJ, we're going to interview Cassie Carter, the wife of NBA player and now coach Anthony Carter, that played with Carmelo Anthony. And her claim is that Anthony Carter was her husband, and recently they went through a divorce, but she's claiming that they're going through this divorce because she feels that they cloned him. She feels like he's not the same. His facial structure isn't the same. His demeanor isn't the same. Now that her son has joined the NBA for the Sacramento Kings, he's not the same. And she's got pictures, evidence, different NBA teams sending her messages trying to silence her for certain things. And I would say that some of these people aren't real. It's kind of like the guy from the Cavaliers. Did you see that game when the yellow blood was coming out of his ear? Did you ever see that?
I did not see that. No.
Yeah, like Guys, look up yellow blood coming from NBA player. This went viral like 2 years ago. He just felt,
Oh, yes. You know what? I am remembering that now. He was laying on the court, right? And there
yeah,
was like yellow substance coming out of his ears. Yeah, no, I do remember that now.
right.
Well,
So,
and
mhm.
yeah, no, Ani, I was just going to say I'm requesting to share screen again, talking about Carmelo Anthony. Do you remember the story recently in Texas?
Yeah,
We're going back to Texas.
we covered it ad hoc. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're familiar with it.
Yeah, yeah. So just a reminder for folks, you have this stabbing story in the heart, right? Going back to the love theme, but Carmelo Anthony was the suspect. And then this same day is when Carmelo Anthony in the NBA was inducted in the NBA Hall of Fame. So,
Right, right. And it was on 4/2.
Yep, we know all about 42.
Yeah, that's being connected, to the N word. And they love to play on racial rituals because the Freemasonic floor is black and white. So
Mhm.
it has to be some type of racial tension constantly that they have to put in the minds of the public, because we all, as American people, have certain racial stereotypes we think of one another. They've implemented since our birth. It's not that, everyone in America is racist, but we have these stereotypes that they implement and they push through propaganda. So when an incident happens like this, it's automatically, oh, the black guy is acting this type of way, and that outrages, the white community, and they galvanize around it. And then now is a big loose energy system that they can push politically and get things going a certain type way. So we have to understand, when these incidents happen, almost all the time, we can find the numerology, we can make the occult connections, like the odds of the person being named Carmelo Anthony, named after Carmelo Anthony. And I don't know about you, but I found even more pictures of this Carmelo Anthony kid being around celebrities at a young age. He was around Shaq. He was around a couple of other people. I had a couple of other pictures I wasn't able to share with the family. So not to say that you can't be around celebrities, but it is very interesting, to say the least, that now he's on the world stage. He's one of the biggest cases. This might go down as one of the biggest cases in American history.
And it's such a bizarre story, right? I mean, this guy stabs a white brother, right? That was another part
Yeah,
of the story, was
twin,
that
actually, a twin.
it was a twin brother, right? We were just talking about the city of brotherly love, and then the whole story is how the twin brother was holding his dying brother in his arms after
Right.
being stabbed in the heart. See what I'm saying? So there's a lot of overlap. But like, come on, guys, people that are questioning kind of what we're talking about, what are the odds of that? Carmelo Anthony stabs a twin brother, and then now Carmelo Anthony, same day, it was announced that he was being considered for the NBA Hall of Fame. Who's best known for playing for the Knicks, right? And then that's a whole other thing. Look at the Knicks right now, running shop in the NBA playoffs. And I don't want to necessarily take you off of maybe a route you want to go, but don't
No,
forget about the yeah. So let's talk about the Knicks for a second.
yeah.
They're all
Well, let's highlight this. I mean, what we just talked about, Carmelo Anthony going into the Hall of Fame, and now all of a sudden the Knicks is making this run, and we have the connection with the Pope.
exactly. So to kind of kick that connection off with the Pope, for those of you guys that don't know, Pope Leo is reportedly from Chicago. He went to Villanova Catholic school, right? And the Knicks are also known as the Nova Knicks because you have Jalen Brunson, number 11, playing for New York, the 11th state. You also have Josh Hart. There's your love connection. You can't get away from it. Josh Hart went to
Josh
Nova.
Hart.
And now you have Michael Bridges. I don't know how you actually pronounce his name. Mikal. Michael Bridges.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I forgot how you pronounce it, but yeah. I
that
think it's
matters.
Macau. Yeah.
Macau Bridges. Yeah. So that matters because in Pope Leo's opening introduction to the world, he talked about building bridges. And that's huge when you think about a big story last year with the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Yeah.
Ani, I know you remember that story. But think about that. Francis Scott Key Bridge. Okay.
Right.
Francis. Pope Leo, his middle name is Francis, and he just took over for Francis. And then he's talking about building bridges. And now you have Mikal Bridges, who went to his alma mater alongside another 2 players on the Knicks. And now the Knicks are making a splash in the playoffs. So
Yeah, it's man. I don't know how people don't see it. And I play around because you have your different friends that don't believe in this type of stuff. They'll call it just conspiracy. And sometimes they may entertain some conspiracy theories. So I posted this in our group chat, and all of them gave the same emoji, the exclamation point, because they saw the news of the Pope being announced and him going to Villanova. And some of them put, this is interesting, to say the least. This is interesting because what's the odds that if you know sports, let's just talk sports. Let's just say sports weren't rigged. The New York Knicks isn't a good enough team to beat the Boston Celtics, even with the Jason Tatum, which I'm going to get into in a minute, going down. They're not good enough to beat the Boston Celtics. So them going back and forth with the Celtics right now in the playoffs was always a ritual to me. And honestly, I don't even think Jalen Brunson is as good as people think. I think that the NBA makes certain people that they want to be better than what they really are. I just saw LeBron James and Steve Nash podcast. They made an interesting point because I still keep up with the sports to see what the connections all are, because the sports are comparative to the Roman Colosseum and the gladiators. And we did have Gladiator come out last year, by the way. So we knew it was going to have a lot of connection to sports with the rituals because they're nothing but modern day gladiators. But the podcast with LeBron James and Steve Nash, they said, hey, most people think that the mid-range in the NBA is gone. It's just 3-point shooting. But they said the truth is the mid-range shot hasn't gone anywhere. All they've done is said that role players can't shoot mid-range shots anymore. Only superstars can shoot mid-range. And I said, wow, because when I was thinking of it, it blew my mind. I was like, well, yeah, my bad. There's some gnat in here bothering me. But LeBron James and Luka Doncic and players like of that aspect, Damian Lillard, these big time players, they're the only ones that, or Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he has the most perfect mid-range season of all time this year, by the way, 60% from mid-range.
I call him Shea Gorgeous.
Yeah. So the role players aren't allowed to shoot mid-range shots. You see how that goes? So that just tells you that there's something being controlled here that people don't get.
Can I add one thing, Ani?
Yeah.
So this is off the cuff. I mean, this is just looking at the image that you're sharing with the audience right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a look at the numbers, right? We talked about Josh Hart on the far left. Hart connection with city of brotherly love. Villanova is a suburb of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. So that's the Josh Hart connection. Jalen Brunson, once again, wearing number 11 for New York. He's the face of the Knicks. Also went to Nova. Number 11, New York, the 11th state. Back to Michael Bridges, or Mikal Bridges. Sorry, I have such a hard time saying his first name. But look, he's wearing number 25. Pope.
Yep.
Pope equals 25. Okay. And once again, Pope Leo was talking about building bridges. And now you have Michael Bridges of the Nova Knicks wearing 25. And in Gematria, Pope equals 25. But in closing, add those numbers up. 25 plus 11 plus 3 is 39.
Yep. New York.
That is a massive number with New York, you guys. Massive.
Mm-hmm.
New York, NY equals 39. New York equals 39. NYC equals 39. They are wearing these numbers for a reason. It's not just individually, but it's also combined, right? So just shows how beautiful it is. I mean, it's so perfect.
I did 3 Gematria classes, you guys, on Patreon. Gematria 101, Gematria 102, 103. In the first class, I'm going to highlight something called the control numbers. The control numbers. They have these specific numbers, like 39, especially 33, 201. This year, the big number this year, AJ, is 77. We've uncovered so many goddamn 77 rituals. I mean, Luka Doncic, what NBA player would wear any number connected to 70? Can you remember any NBA player that's significant that wore something connected to 70, AJ? It's prototypically around 20.
No, I can't.
You know, something
no,
like
well, the only other player I can think of that wore abstract numbers was Dennis Rodman. You know, yep. Rodman wore 91. I think actually Rodman did wear 70, and I think he wore it with the Mavericks. This goes back to a live stream I did with Rambo on my channel once a week. He was pointing out the number 70, and he's been all over Michael Jordan this year. Mm-hmm. Really quick, just think about this, you guys. We're in the year of plane crashes and helicopter crashes. There was a big story on Michael Jordan's birthday this year where there was an upside down plane crash that happened on MJ's birthday. It happened in Toronto while Drake, Mr. Toronto, was in Australia, the land down under. Okay. And it happened on Project Runway. My wife is making me watch that show. But it happened on runway 23. Okay. Delta Airlines, upside down. Nobody was killed. But think about the flags or the banners burning in the United Center back on March 8th of this year. So there's been a lot of flag burning themes, Cooper flag, Cooper DeJean, United Center for the Bulls. And now you have the American Airlines Center where Cooper flag is expected to be now. And as you know, September 11th equals 77. So does World Trade Center 77. Flight 77 hit the 77-foot Pentagon 77 minutes after takeoff during 9/11. Think about Kyrie Irving, who wears number 11 for the Mavericks. He goes down with a leg injury right after Luka leaves. Irving, Texas is just outside of Dallas. So I just want to add that too.
This is the 7th.
And Kyrie Irving went to Duke. Kyrie Irving is a Blue Devil as well. So just think about that.
Right. This is the 77th year of Israel. And
isn't it also the 77th NBA season? Am I off by that?
It's the 77th Lakers season.
Ooh, okay.
It's the 77 Lakers season, but the connection to Israel, to the Mavericks, their flag is the same color. And recently, a Israeli woman purchased the Mavericks as the dominant owner over what is his name? The previous Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is no longer a majority owner. It's an Israel woman who's the majority owner of the Mavericks now. So if you look at their flags, the blue and white, I broke down what the blue and white means. It's a lot of occult themes connected to the reason why there's been so many Maverick connections this year. And the white horse, you know, the Mavericks have the white horse. Behold the pale white horse. You know, there's, you know, we all know there's some biblical things connected with that.
Absolutely.
Getting the #1 pick, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, since we're on the topic of the Pope and Mikhail Bridges and whatnot, I thought it might be fitting for me to share a couple slides from another presentation I did not too long ago. God, I'm just having trouble. Okay, here we go. So going back to the slides here, let me know once you were able to add the screen, if possible.
Yeah, it's already in.
Okay, cool. So you guys can go back and watch this full presentation that I did right after the announcement of Pope Leo, but we're going to blow right through this. So think about Contavious Caldwell Pope.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 2020, the night that LeBron James passed Kobe Bryant in all-time scoring, the same day before, one day before Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash. This game was held in Philly, and you have Contavious Caldwell Pope wearing a shirt of Kobe Bryant burning. You know?
Right.
And really what I get into is I did a first video connecting Contavious Caldwell Pope to Pope Francis. That was right after the news of his death. But as a follow-up, I also connected him to the new Pope, Pope Leo. I mean, it's so obvious, right? His last name is Pope, okay? And when you measure from the date of the news when Pope Leo was officially the new Pope, and you measure it to the anniversary of January 25th, the date that Kobe Bryant dropped to #4 in all-time scoring, 263 days. What are the odds that Robert Francis Prevost, 263, which is the 56 prime, and we know all about 56 and Society of Jesus and Church of Satan, etc. It's a big number. But look at this. So you measure from Pope Caldwell Pope's birthday to Pope Leo's birthday. It's a span of 158 days. Robert Prevost, 158. Freemasonry, 158. You were talking about the black and white connections to Freemasonry, right? The checkerboard floors. I just added to that in Sumerian. I just thought it was interesting that Robert Prevost equals 1158. Very similar to that 158. But I also point out that we were talking about Villanova, right? Villanova is a tennis ball throw away from Philly. Philly is the 267 area code. Pope Leo is now the 267th Pope. Perfect. But look at this, Ani. So he went to Villanova, right? What was his major at Villanova? Mathematics. He majored in mathematics. Our newest Pope is a mathematics major. Oh, and look, he majored in 77. You were just talking about 77. Look at
that. That 77 finds its way somehow.
See what I'm saying? So he majored in mathematics. Why would a Pope major in mathematics? You know? But we were talking about the bridges connections, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, Francis, okay? And then you have Michael Bridges. He keyed the Knicks Game 2 win over the Celtics with that block. He keyed it, huh? It's an interesting choice of words. Francis Scott Key Bridge. See what I'm saying? And then Pope Leo talking about building bridges. I just point out here, look, so not only does Pope equal 25, but Pope also equals 11. So 2 of the 3 Nova Knicks are wearing numbers that connect to Pope.
Not surprising.
Right? Nope, not at all. And then I really tie it back to Contavious Caldwell Pope, where if you measure from Caldwell Pope's birthday to the news of Pope Leo, entering the world stage as the newest pope. 79 days, Michael Bridges equals 79. The 22nd prime, they're playing against Boston, which equals 22. Just think about Trump, right? He was talking about the golden age right before he got elected or came back. Think about the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, there's been, you know, all about the theories surrounding the Golden Gate Bridge. But I'll just leave it there. I had a couple other pieces just about how it's connected to the sun, right? Because Leo is the sun. The Warriors, the Warriors with the bridge logo. They lost to the Timberwolves with 93 points. The sun is said to be 93 million miles away. They lost to the Timberwolves, which is related to the moon, howl at the moon, right? So anyways, I'll get off my soapbox there. I appreciate you letting me share that.
Yeah, let's stick right there. We have one of our Yotish astrologers, Kalini, point out that Pope Leo, his rising sign is Maga, which is ruled by Leo. So you have the connection back to Trump, because the nakshatra in Vedic astrology, sidereal astrology, which is, you know, different from tropical astrology, but it's his rising sign. Robert's rising sign is Maga, which is Leo.
And what else about MAGA? The Church of Satan?
Yeah. MAGA is the sixth degree?
Yeah, it's the highest ranking degree in the Church of Satan. You guys can just just search MAGA Church of Satan. You'll see it. It's the first link that will pop up. But that's why Donald Trump runs on MAGA, right? Mm-hmm. That's why during the president correspondence dinner with Barack Obama from Chicago, just like Anton LaVey, who founded the Church of Satan, he's from Chicago. Barack Obama, born on the 216th day of the year, where 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. But the Church of Satan was founded in San Francisco, okay, right down the street from the Golden Gate Bridge. So yeah, no, I just wanted to add on that as well.
Yeah, very, very much connected. The guy who ran the Temple of Set was from San Francisco. What is his name again? I'll be forgetting his name. The guy with the funny smile, or he worked.
Yeah,
developed micro. Mm-hmm.
It's escaping me. I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember the name.
Michael Quino. Yeah.
Michael Quino. Okay. Well, and then the new lead of the Church of Satan now, his name is Peter Gilmore. And that's a whole other thing, because I've written books. There's one called The Hand that I wrote. The Hand. Mm-hmm. And this was all about the death of Carl Weathers, right? Carl. Oh, sorry. Mm-hmm. Sorry, the camera's whatever. But Carl Weathers died. He was in Happy Gilmore. Now you have Peter Gilmore, the founder of the newest head of the Church of Satan. Bob Barker died. He was in the movie Happy Gilmore. Mm-hmm. I released this book and I do a live stream about it. 2 days later, they announced the death of Joe Lafferty. He was the one that said, "You suck, you jackass." He was that guy. So he dies. Anyways, yeah, no, I just thought that would be a good plug, because the Church of Satan is very much connected with all of these rituals as well.
It is, but the Church of Satan, I want people to know, the Church of Satan is like it's more of a social club. The Church of Satan, these people will laugh. They don't worship Satan. They worship a paganistic outlook on reality, similar to they follow a lot of Egyptian philosophy, which is still satanic from a Christian sense. But people really think these people drink blood and
well, you know who does drink blood are Catholics every Sunday, right?
Well, typically every Christian does.
Yeah.
Or most denominations does. But we know what the Catholic Church is connected to. and why a lot of their choir boys have come forward confessing. I think Diddy. Speaking of what's going on with Diddy right now,
Yeah,
Diddy,
let's talk about that, Ani, because I have not been paying attention to that news story, but I know it is one of the biggest news stories that's out there. So I would love to pick your brain on that for sure.
yeah, Diddy was an altar boy in the Catholic Church. A lot of people don't know that.
No,
So
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
P. Diddy was a Catholic and he was an altar boy. So speaking back with Christianity, I mean, what does that entail if we know what goes on in the Catholic Church with these particular altar boys? These young, they're victims. A lot of them are victims, but dare us look at Diddy or any of these characters and call them victims because later they get implemented into these moonchild experiments. And now they have to carry out. I showed a picture of this new psychoacoustic weapon. I want you to check out a show, AJ, called Castle Rock when you get a chance. It's one of
Where can I find it?
you can find it. I'm not sure. You guys put it in the chat for me. Where is I watch it on hdtoday.to. I got a like one of those hacks where you can go on these websites, watch whatever you want. But I forgot what specific TV company or streaming company they're with. But in Castle Rock, they're going to talk about this schism noise, which goes to the VK, the mind control technology, where they can put a noise out on you and psychoacoustics that can control your mind with these certain acoustics in your mind. So we don't know how far that it goes, but I believe that there's some type of hypnotism. There's some type of what you call it. The word is slipping my mind. Artificial somnambulism.
I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, well, look into the Jesuits. Frank something Ingolstadt. That's slipping my mind as well. Frank Mesmer. I'm sorry. Frank Mesmer went to Ingolstadt University. He learned somnambulism and mesmerism, which mesmerism is coined after his name, Mesmer. He was a Jesuit. So I'm telling you guys, in America and in Europe, hypnotism and mesmerism was coined by a Jesuit. It's coined by the Catholic Church, and who knows how many people are under mesmerism or hypnotism, or mind control by the government or whatnot. But
I would argue that most people are in some way, even like low key,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Those that are buying into the mainstream news, buying into professional sports, buying into the political system, that's all mind control, right?
yeah.
It just blows my mind. Yeah, I'll be the first to say, man, I was dabbling in QAnon back in the day. I was dabbling into just all kinds of stuff before I really found Gematria to show a much more kind of very calculated way to show how orchestrated everything is. But really just the whole idea of like, okay, Donald Trump didn't win re-election, right? He lost to Joe Biden. And then it was all about voter fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Voter fraud. The system is rigged. The system is rigged. It's fucked up, whatever. But then 4 years later, they go right back, and then they go right back to the same system that they know is flawed, thinking that, like, you know what I mean? All while they feel like profound and they're doing the right thing by voting, but they're going right back to the system that they just said was flawed.
Right.
That to me is mind control, right? I mean, the fact that they're able, like, that they're doing that, and then they have this like moral pedestal that they're on as they're doing it. It just blows my mind. That's an example of this mind control that you're referring to.
Thank you, Jay Avila. Castle Rock is Stephen King universe. I forgot to mention that.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, Castle Rock is the TV show I was speaking about, and Stephen King, he makes all of the horror shows, is in his universe. So you
Okay.
look,
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay.
So what you just said, I was one of the main people on the internet debunking QAnon. I did a video, I did like a 3-hour video on just debunking QAnon. And I got attacked crazy. But it was one comment, one person said, they said, "You're very, very smart, but you're going to have to do more to take down Q." And what I was doing, I wasn't trying to take down Q. I was just trying to make a mockery how you just did. Like, you guys talk about this voting system and then something like that. But I was pointing out way more. If people go back, they probably took my YouTube partially because of that, my old YouTube.
QAnon and Jewish also equals 201. So
Right.
you
Yeah.
got that too.
Exactly. There you go. There, I pointed that out. I'm pretty sure I've showed that slide before. But you guys can go to my other video. I got the Q deception on my YouTube right now. I broke it down again. But let's talk about that, because speaking of the Diddy case, P. Diddy ran on the Vote or Die campaign when he was running for the Democrats. And this year is last year and this year is very much connected to what is happening with Diddy, because there's a lot of picture with Donald Trump with P. Diddy. Well, a lot of celebrities, but specifically a lot of pictures started to arise with Donald Trump because Donald Trump was connected to Jeffrey Epstein. So there's a lot of pictures with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and we just keep ignoring it, just put it aside. And we all know in the quote unquote truth community or the spiritual community that Donald Trump is a player.
So, Ani, really quick, I got a question about that. As we dive further into this whole Diddy thing, and obviously, Epstein didn't kill himself, and Epstein Island, and all that stuff. I got a question for you.
Sure.
In light of everything we've been talking about with like the world of sports, LeBron James winning on the real King James's birthday, and the Nova Knicks, and connected to the Pope. When it comes to all this pedo stuff and the latest court cases with Diddy, do you feel or think that all of this is legit, or do you feel that it's a completely like kind of orchestrated thing to keep people's minds looking at it? I'm not trying to debunk or say, hey, none of this is happening. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just curious, like,
I see what you mean.
when it comes to the Epstein flight logs that was posted on Q, and they're just showing Will Smith and Donald Trump and blah, 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 they're all on the flight logs. And that's really my question. Like, do you think that all of this is legit, or is it kind of a splash of like there's truth, but a lot of it's orchestrated? I was just curious, kind of your take on that before we get deeper.
You're a thinking man, AJ. Absolutely. It's a lot of it's false. So when it comes to cryptocracies, secret societies within secret societies, a lot of it is fake on the world stage. Why would they put all of the information of where they host these quote unquote pedo areas, or where they do these things, and they allow for you to go there? Because there was a video of these two guys that went there.
I remember I saw that they were like swimming up to the island and stuff. I was like, what on earth?
I was like, what? Like
he's like in the ocean, but he's like giving himself a selfie and like, hey guys, I'm at Epstein Island, and he's walking up to the door. It was so bizarre.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a joke. A lot of them are laughing at us. They're like, oh, these people really gonna, think that this is real. Now, some things do happen, but what I was getting to, my point to answer your question, there's an inner society and there's an outer society. The inner society, they practice something called Sabbatean Frankism. I want you to look into this thing with Jakob Frank. Look up a guy named Jakob Frank. Look up Adam Weishaupt, who was a Jesuit. He started Bavarian Illuminati, and Sabotage Xavier.
Ani, would you mind repeating that really quick so I can write that down?
Yes, his name is Jacob. It's spelled like Jacob, but it's Jacob Frank, just like how it sounds. You're gonna find a whole lot with him.
Okay.
Adam Weishaupt, I'm pretty sure you heard of him. The Bavarian Illuminati was about establishing the Edenic. They wanted to strip everything back and go back to a Edenic mind frame. I'll explain it if we go down that rabbit hole. And then you have this guy that you must study called Sabbatai, almost spelled like Sabbatai, Zavi. He's the Jewish Antichrist.
Is that Zavey?
I mean, Sabbatai, and the last name is Zevi.
Got it.
This guy would proclaim himself as Christ incarnated again. And basically all he did was take the principles of Christ, and he said, well, for us to really break this thing down in the universe, we have to do everything opposite of what Christ or the Jewish laws, Hakelet, tells us to do. Like, we have to do the complete opposite of that. So he started the whole thing with sleeping with wives, and you know how you think of Illuminati parties, putting animal skin heads. He started all of that. Then he transferred that to Jacob Frank. He transferred that to Adam Weishaupt, and that's get transferred to the Illuminati classes we know today.
Let me ask you this, Ani, really quick. What's up with the white parties? Why is it a white party?
Well, when you think of white and black, you think of polarity. So they're giving you, that's another mainstream thing. So the inner society, they have these events where they're practicing Sabbatean Frankism. In the real parties, the Sabbatean Frankists, they dress with certain colors during certain seasons. So everyone has to wear the same color. That's part of the whole physics of it. The color, wearing the same color does something for them. I could break that down, but we won't go that deep. But they're doing incestual things. They're doing, they're sleeping with each other's husband and wife. They're doing things of this aspect, and they're doing it to a level where we could never fathom it. It's like almost, it's the most degenerate things you can think of is happening in these parties. The outer society of the Illuminati is making a mockery, trying to mimic what they're doing in this esoteric inner society. They're doing it for other reasons. The outer society is almost like a protective veil to make mockery and mimic what they're doing, but it's not really showing the actual esoteric secrets to why they're doing it. But we hone in on the outer society and what they do with the white parties, which has nothing to do with, it probably has some symbolism connected to paganistic deities and things of that nature that we can make connections with decoding. But the inner society is much, much more degenerate, and it's it'll shock us what they're doing with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that was just a side question I was thinking of. You hear all about these Diddy parties and the baby oil and the white parties, and
I could talk about the baby oil.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, let's talk about that. It makes me think of the Catholic Church and the whole anointing of the oil, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be a weird connection with that too.
No, you're not too far off with it. So with the anointing, so you put, I don't know if you've been catching up with it, but Cassie was saying that you have to almost get in a tub of baby oil. You have to anoint yourself. And she says, Diddy tells you you have to put on more baby oil. You have to continue to lubricate yourself and stay shiny. You ever heard Rihanna's song, Shine Like a Diamond?
Of course.
And then there's these other songs talking about like shining like diamonds. You have to be like diamonds. The diamond is, of course, mimicking the sun, but it's mimicking aspects of the diamond. And even if you look at the sacred geometrical lattices of a diamond, there's things connected to occult intelligences that people don't understand. Just like the Superman symbol, that's the symbol of the Rothschilds. A lot of people don't know that. The red diamond. But the daimon the daimon is the holy guardian angel. when they're shining, they're mimicking Lucifer. The Diddy parties, which is supposed to be, I can't even say those type words on YouTube, but what they're doing in the parties is to activate the root chakra through doing certain things in that area. You guys use your imagination. And when you go into someone that way and activate the root chakra, there's another form of Kundalini. You heard of Kundalini exercises? You ever heard of the Kunda buffer? All right, I want you guys to study this guy named George Godrift.
George Godrift?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Godrift?
I think Godrift is spelled like Grudjeff, or it's like Grudrift or Godrift, but they pronounce it that way. I'm probably mispronouncing it. You guys put it in the chat.
Okay.
You know, I'm probably mispronouncing it, but I'm pretty sure I'm close to it if I'm mispronouncing it. And this guy was speaking about, he wrote a book called Beelzebub's Grandson. So that's the book you need to look up. Beelzebub's Grandson.
BL's?
Beelzebub, you know, the demon Beelzebub.
Yeah, I always pronounce it like Beelzebub.
Beelzebub, yeah.
I'm probably wrong by that, but okay.
No, it's fine. I mean, shit, it's an English language. It's a bastard language. You can pronounce it any way you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
But
okay.
yeah, in that book, he's going to talk about the Kunda buffer, and it's like the reverse way of shooting the Kundalini up to your pineal gland. You shoot it down into the anus. So these things is what they're doing in these parties, is trying to activate a downward chakra system below. And they say once you can enter that person that way in that chakra system, you can get control of their soul, or you can break them.
Ani, I'm guessing you're familiar with syncretism, no?
Absolutely, yeah.
Santos.
Bonacci.
Yeah, Santos Bonacci, Julio, Divine Being, Being Divine. Just shout out to them. I don't know them personally, but yeah, with what you're talking about with the chakra system, I feel like that's partly why I've been on such a love kick this year.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Earth is an anagram of heart, and how, our middle chakra is the heart chakra. And the way I look at it is, a lot of what's in the news and sports and whatever, they're trying to keep us at lowest, down to the roots. They don't want us going up above the heart, above the earth.
Yes.
where you start getting to the crown chakra and the Christos and all that kind of stuff. I've really been leaning into that a lot more.
That's where the creativity to change, like to bring ideals that helps humanity, it comes from that Christos, that creativity. Yeah. When you're developing something, you're developing ideals, like how you've done, or how I've done with our podcast and our platforms. We develop ideals to make people think, to transform their outlook or perspective of reality. That is pure Christos science. To do something that aspect. I mean, people may not think something so minimum of what we're doing may not be impactful, but we're very impactful in what we're doing. And those people that's watching right now, they become satellites to the message. And since they're transforming by us giving presentations and information for them to look at, they go out and they add on to what we're saying. They see angles that we don't see, and they transform other people's perspective that may not be caught up in the whole, you're supposed to look at reality this way and be a good citizen and obey the law and do all that. I'm not saying you're not supposed to do certain things of that aspect, but we all know we're in some type of trap and some illusion to some certain degree. And you have to think for yourself. You have to think for yourself. And basically, these people have studied this black magic science to such a high degree that almost everything that we're doing, even if you're a veganist, they're putting nanoparticles. There's a book I want you to get by Ilana Freeland. Her name is ELANA, and just put free land together. Ilana Freeland. It's called Geoengineered Transhumanism and the Geoengineered Transhumanist. She's 2 books she came out with. I want to get her on the channel. I'm trying to get her email to reach out to her. But this woman was speaking about the chemtrails have these nanoparticles. And when they're dropping it, first of all, we're caught in a electromagnetic web of all of these towers around us.
Well, and we in syncretism, right? We are electric beings, right? Like, just think about like the heart. Oh, well, the heart is a pump. It's
Right.
actually not. It's actually not. But just think of go back to that root. What is making us live right now in this moment? There is an electromagnetic pulse that is keeping your heart pumping, right? They call it a pump, but if you ever look into the anatomy of a heart, it's not really the shape that they show you. You actually stretch it out. It's actually like a long organ, but it's
Right.
perfectly compact. But just sit in that for a second. You know, what is actually making my heart pump? What is actually pulsating in me right now for me to be alive? You know, and that goes back to the torus field and how we all have that electromagnetic energy field right in our heart, the earth, and we are on earth, which is an anagram of the heart, right? And just my interpretation, part of this whole life game that we're playing, whatever we're living in, flat plane, globe, earth, whatever, we are electromagnetic beings, and we have actual energy that we bring off to the world, whether you feel it or not, right? So yeah, Zeb Strong says electromagnetic equals soul. Yeah, it's just think about how unbelievable and how beautiful that is. I mean,
Yeah,
people are it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a book called The Electric Universe. I forgot who wrote that book, but that guy has a great book on the electric universe. We're all plasmic beings. We're all connected to the plasma and the electromagnetic field. But yeah, but
this was that book I have. Sorry, the camera's kind of moving away from me. Dude, why is it doing that? I got this yesterday, so sorry, it's being a little weird. But anyways, it's just this was showing the torus field, the Hearth book, right? He's a lot about flat Earth, which I'm not against, but that's not what I'm trying to push. It's just pointing out the Hearth book, the Earth book, your heart, the middle chakra. It's all about rising up to the higher chakras and releasing the Christos oil that goes down your spine, which is 33 vertebrae. That's why Christ Jesus died at age 33, right?
Exactly.
Freemasonry, the 33rd highest rank. Even though apparently, from what I've heard, I don't know enough about it, but I've been told there's actually a lot more degrees above 33 in Freemasonry.
It depends which Freemasonic order you're a part of. The original Egyptian rites, they had 96 different degrees, and that's why they got rid of the Memphis rite of Mizraim. They had 96 degrees, and if you made the 96th degree, you became like the king of all of the lodges, and they got rid of that. It was like, no, we didn't have no monarchy and Freemasonry and everything. So the Memphis rite are the last ones to practice the true 96. That's why they killed the queen at 96 years old. I made that connection. But the 33 degrees and all of that is connected, because in Egypt, you didn't become an adult until the age of 33. In America, you become it at 18. And the reason why they said you didn't become an adult at the age of 30 until the age of 33 is because your spinal cord doesn't fully start to develop fully for what it is until the age of 33. That's when
Okay.
In biology, your spinal cord and its relationship to the neuronal circuitry doesn't fully develop until the age of 33. Accessing the neuronal circuits and your full auric field doesn't really resonate on its highest activity until around your mid 30s.
Wow.
And you kind of see that. But because after that is when you start to go backwards, you start to age, you start to lose your hair and everything after that.
So that's like your peak. It's like as soon as you're fully developed, now it's all downhill from there.
It's called your zenith. You're reaching your zenith.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I was just saying that a lot of people don't even rise above the heart chakra in a lifetime. So you have to constantly stay into higher information and stay away from the muck of this other stuff that keeps people entrenched into whatever they're believing in. You have to keep a balanced head and look at the information, on both sides, because what we're doing right now, we're having this conversation on a higher level, and a lot of people can resonate on it. The gematria in the numerology is a system encoded of vibratory effects of the stars. Did you know the first numbers? You know where the first number system come from?
I can't say that I do. I would guess Sumeria.
It wasn't, but somewhere close to that.
Okay.
It's called the Chaldeans.
Oh,
the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans or the Chaldeans.
You're
close. Yeah, it's right there. I mean, it's right next to each other. But Sumeria got their number system from them. In their number system, see, they only went off a sexagismal system. They only did sixes. But it was very, very advanced. 60s. They did 60s and sixes. But it was very advanced mathematics. Matter of fact, without the Sumerian system, we wouldn't. There's something specific to their system to how we navigate. Without their system, we don't get trigonometry. Without the Sumerian system. So you guys make that note. You don't get trigonometry without the Sumerians. But the Egyptians adapted the Chaldean system. But look, what is a number? A number is nothing but a symbol. AJ, that's all it is. It's a symbol. And in the symbol is encoding the vibratory spin cycle of a atom or a quantum unit.
Yeah, Ani, that I actually spoke about this last night during my live with the Occult Rejects. Think about this. Numbers were always there. Meaning, whenever us as human beings first came into this existence, there were always 12 trees over here.
Mm-hmm.
There were always 6 chickens over here. There were always 35 apples on this tree over here. But at some point, we had to put a label on it. Right? Right. So in other words, like saying that the existence of numbers and numerology and all that stuff, God being the grand mathematician, it was always there. But us as humans had to put something on it to quantify it. See what I'm saying? Meaning, let's say you and I were the very first 2 people to walk into this plane of existence, and we see, 8 trees over here. Well, we both see it, but then over here there's 5 trees. So we had to at some point, okay, this is 5, this is 8, this is 22. See what I'm saying? Like I just kind of wanted to say it was always there.
Yeah.
It was always there.
It's always been here. I completely agree with what you're saying, your statement, because what we're here to do, we once was the monad. We were all one. Consciousness, everything was one. Then we became fractalized. So humans are fractalizing the fractals. And we have to develop systems for us to understand the fractalizing, and numbers is a part of the system to understand that fractalization process. And all of the fractalizations are nothing but smaller units of energy that goes back to the one, the divine, when everything is all one. So we're trying to understand, because it's a fractal of a fractal of a fractal, we're trying to understand it. And that's why we're so confused. That's why we have so many belief systems. That's why we have so many faith systems, because it's so fractalized. The truth is not hidden It's not in one system, it's hidden in all of the systems. There's truths hidden in all of them. And there's things that people over saturate to be the one truth, which isn't the case at all.
You know, Ani, I think it's interesting that you have a flame on your shirt right now.
Yes.
As we're talking about this, because
what
was that?
I said I'm on fire. That's why.
Yeah, you're on fire. Yeah, but think about this. Back to the love theme.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Decoding with Cody. I don't know if you're familiar with his work.
Yeah, I love Cody.
Yeah, Cody sent me a video. I got to double check who this gentleman is, but Cody sent me this video like 2 or 3 days ago, and it was called "You Can Only Die in Love." Like true love is death.
Yeah,
and
it is.
And I don't mean to say that as like doom and gloom. It's just it was a beautiful like 10-minute video of this guy talking about the dance between the moth and the flame.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
And how, you know, when the moth gets too close to the flame, obviously it's going to die and disintegrate into the flame, but that's where the love happens. That's where it becomes one finally. But we as human beings, we always are doing this dance of always earning for love and union and God and our creator and finding meaning, right? And that's what brings us always back to the flame. But then we get a little too close and it's too scary. You know, so it was just a really beautiful 10-minute little presentation just talking about that story, the dance between the moth and the flame. And I thought it was fitting with you wearing a flame right now as we're talking about just whatever this is that we're living in, Ani. It's a beautiful thing for me. So I'm really appreciative to be here.
And that's what you're doing. What you're doing is a term that I coined called the Christogrammatic propagation. When you come across something that's a shock value to you, like you seen that poem from Cody, and you seeing this symbol on my shirt, the flame on my shirt and everything, you're realizing that there's synchronicities to what is a constant wow in your being. You know, like that poem affected you in different ways of looking at reality. And my shirt is a reminder of the ways that it affected you. That's how
I didn't tell you to wear that shirt.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So there's a system. I mean, we all are a field of consciousness, and understanding what resonates is codependent astrologically on the star's spin. Your stars, my stars, we're all different fractals of the one, but we are tuned to a different frequency of understanding our spin cycle, our complete cycle around the sun constantly. We're at different frequencies understanding it. So there is a karmic imprint to that, because you talked about the dance. There's something in the Vedas called the cosmic dance. We're doing a cosmic dance. It's kind of like when you get on the dance floor. If you ever do that, if you ever go into a club and you're vibing, or you're ever in your house, or you with your when you start dancing and you really get into it, you kind of disappear from time. The time can, you know, go quickly, like a dream almost. You notice when you sleep, time goes faster. I saw this one guy break this thing down. It really blew my mind of how he talks about the unconscious and the conscious is coexisting. So when you're asleep, you're conscious, but you're not conscious to the conscious. You're conscious to the unconscious. So that's why time doesn't resonate and it feels like a blip.
Leha here in the comments says, with the lights and the music, it's like a trance almost. I mean,
right.
I think about music and vibration, right? Frequencies. There, you've touched a lot on how, you know, this like rap music and all that stuff. Like, be really careful about what you listen to, because I'll be the first to say I'm a sensitive person. So it doesn't take much for me to actually get a tear in my eye if I feel a song that's just like speaking to me. And I can't help it, you know, and it just blows my mind. Just the sound coming through my ears will make me feel a certain way.
Right. They switched the frequency of music around the 70s and 80s
How
because
so? Like they made it faster, or
it was set on they made it faster. It was set on let me pull up this real quick. It was a specific hertz, and it is gematria, by the way. It was like 440 hertz.
well, you know what's funny is Rambo actually did a video about Hertz and Jalen Hurts, right?
Oh,
Jalen Hurts,
really?
who
Oh, yeah,
just won
yeah,
the
yeah.
Super
I've
Bowl. And,
always saw that. Like his name is Hertz. I've always saw that. I'm like, do people
yeah,
realize what his name is?
yeah. Earth Goat Tress says it's 440.
It's
Um,
440. I see it. That's
Leha did say it's 432 hertz to 440, so it looks like that's the bandwidth.
so
But
the
yeah, I don't know anything about this, so this is really interesting.
yeah, the 440 hertz. They're playing the 440 hertz. Is the double. They call it the double deftone consciousness. That's what all music genres are organizing under in this particular evil right
Hmm.
now. So they changed it originally. I'm trying to find the original hertz. Y'all can put it in the chat if y'all can. But what happened was, if when you used to play records, the records had a diamond needle and it played on that carbon, you know, whatever the record is called when they make it dark. Here it goes right here. Okay, so yeah, so it went from 432 hertz to 440.
Okay.
432 is the multiple of 108. 108 times 4 is 432. Since 432 is based on 108, it's a anointed number. And since the biology of our existence is defined by the pure cascading ratios, it gives credence to the fact that 432 cycles per second does indeed speak directly to ourselves. A 440 is a double def hertz. They killed the spirit's resonance and made zombies out of the world. And it happened in the 1960s when they took the tube amplification system and the Marshall plexi, and they took that out and they killed the golden age of sound. The golden age of sound was between the 40s to the 60s. And that's why a lot of people are addicted to 60s, 70s music, and why the rappers are still looping those music from that period.
Hmm. Wow. Whoa.
Yeah. So we did a
Well,
lecture on that on Patreon, guys. You can get that full lecture. So that lecture on aeromancy that we did. So
I,
yeah,
I want to, and I don't mean to pivot at all. I just wanted to shout out Jane Onimus. Asked a kind question, Ani, if you could please go back to what you were saying about A. Freeman and nanoparticles. I know I had
yeah,
written down Alina Freeland.
yeah. So it's Ilana. Ilana. I've been calling her Elena for a long time, but it's Ilana
Ilana
Freeland. And
Freeland.
then the nanoparticles that they're dropping from the sky. That's what I was saying. Even if you're veganism, she's saying that the agenda of that inner Sabbatean Frankist society of the Illuminati really is Sabbatean Frankism. The Illuminati is like the sheath to make everybody point at it and say, oh, that's just woo stuff. But the agenda is to turn the soul into a transhuman. That's what they want to do to us, to make us.
Is that kind of what they're doing right now with, like, once COVID was around and how you can get a chip in your hand and then you can put your hand on, to scan to pay for stuff, and kind of that merger between technology and humans, kind of a lot like what's talked about in Black Mirror.
See,
Kind of the same idea.
see that's already going to happen. So that's already going to happen, but it's
Mhm.
even deeper than that.
Okay.
Okay, you hear about the towers in the Bible, the Enochian towers as well. The 5G now is up to 10G. China announced they got 10G. Like,
What? I didn't know that.
look at Google it. Google it.
Oh my
10G.
God.
So if they got 10G, who knows what we got? I don't know, but the point is,
Sorry, Ani, I got to ask you this question. Sorry, with you saying that, I got to ask you this.
yeah,
So you think about, like, so I just got a new phone, iPhone 16. Cool.
yeah.
Got it.
That's a good
My question is very simple. How far back do you think the real technology is? Meaning, who's not to say? In my head, I was like, who's not to say that there wasn't an iPhone 16 back in the 20s? You know what I mean? Before phones even existed, but there were people out there that had the iPhone 20 or the iPhone, whatever. I was just curious, your 2 cents on that, as far as like, you think about Japan and the Asian culture, who always seems to be a little more advanced than the US as far as like technology, and then things move over to the US. But let's go even beyond that.
Right.
The first phone. How long has the first cellular phone actually existed before a cellular phone was brought to us? There's no way that, oh, we just found this and they're going to give it to everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. I mean,
so yeah, I just want to pick your brain on that for a minute. Like,
well, they have found certain pictures. I mean, they found an advanced phone somewhere. I can't even remember now. You sparked my mind. They found something that resembled something that we had. It's
okay.
not even, I mean, we're thinking Tartarian, but it's even further back than that. You know, they found something that resembles the iPhone, or something that was used for communication. I have to pull the article. I have to pull the notes on it, but I talked about that a while back, that they found something like that. So it's interesting you bring that up. But as far as
just think about the pyramids. No one knows where they came from. No one knows how they were built. They're perfect. They're razor blade perfect back in the day before any technology. And then people just think that, oh, the latest iPhone that I have is the latest and greatest technology. It's like,
oh, well, yeah. Well, first of all, we know where the pyramids came from. We just don't know how to mimic the size of the cylinders of how they moved it.
Okay,
But we understand how to build a pyramid. They act like, oh my God, it's so hard to do it. We just don't know how they did it with the size of what they did it with.
Sure.
But we had even more advanced technology in Atlantis, and what they used was crystallography. You ever heard of a guy named Jason Giorgiani?
No. Jason Giorgiani.
Yeah.
I got like 8 names written down now. I'm excited.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I just follow a lot of people. I like their information, and I read a lot of books. But Jason Giorgiani has been talking about in one of his new books how Atlantis had this crystallography, this crystal technology of etheric frequency. I'm gonna get back to the nanoparticles who asked that question in a second. But in his book, he says that the real key to the destruction of Atlantis was discovering that information has a mass to it. And what they discovered is when you delete any information, it causes entropy, but it causes entropy in the future. So they discovered, by as much of mass information that we're taking in right now, by the year 2325, 300 years from now, that we will accumulate as much mass as the moon on the surface of Earth of information wise. And 20 years after that, it'll be the size of the Earth. And that's when you'll start to see geophysical effects. Well, you'll start to see the geophysical effects immediately in 2300, whereas the forks in your kitchen is going to literally start to launch itself through your wall and attract itself towards, informational areas that we hold a lot of data at. That's how serious it is. So what they're discovering now, what's inside of your computer is something called dark matter. Information and dark matter are the same thing. That's all it is. And information and dark matter has a mass that scientists couldn't detect at first. They use all types of different technologies to try to detect it, but they couldn't detect it. And they figured out that it's this dark black cloud in the quanta that has this mass to it. So the Atlanteans probably discovered this and tried to reverse the effects, reverse the effects of this at the last minute. They tried to nuke their crystal data centers because it was taking on too much data, but it was too late. And that's what caused all of the geophysical effects. And now we're approaching that singularity of that. We're approaching the singularity where we have so much information that the mass is causing entropy on the planet. So to answer the question, we've been technologically advanced like this. What if, let me propose a question to you. What if every 500 to 600 years, we just keep going through a reset? What if as soon as we become too advanced, we've been reset to some type of, I'm not gonna say 500, I say a couple thousand years. We go into a reset, because if you really think about it, AJ, 200, 300 years, a lot, but 250 years ago, we had horses and cabins. I mean, we had little small cabins and we were just riding horses.
With little candlelit lights or something walking around, right?
And like 30 or 40 years after that, we're in jets and planes and shit. So,
but that's why I'm saying, like, during those times, I have a candle walking my cow out, in my field. Who's not to say that there wasn't somebody with an iPhone 16?
Right.
Back in the day, but we're all sitting here being like, oh, I have the latest and greatest technology. No, you don't. Not even close. Right? Like that's my whole thing. That's why I brought up that question. But
no, you're dead on. I mean, sure, that's what you're speaking of is Tartarian theory, that we've had technology like this reminiscent before, and we're trying to claim that is ours, but maybe we got reminiscent of the tech from the previous generation, and all we did was advance on it.
Well, in the UN, right, and they're talking about the Great Reset and Agenda 2030, and how you'll own nothing but be happy. I mean, that's freaking terrifying.
That was my point. Okay, I want to answer the question. So it doesn't matter if you're a vegan. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get away from eating all the poison. The towers is causing a electromagnetic cocoon around us. So you don't even have to have a cell phone or a smart TV in your house anymore. Ilana Freeland is saying. She's saying that there's so many other people with cell phones, and there's so many towers around.
So you can't escape.
You can't escape.
No matter what you do, it's here. You're in it.
And your biology is slowly turning. They are creating human 2.0 out of us. We don't even know it. We're being blasted right now with so much goddamn radiation that the body is not supposed to take. But the funny thing about humans and the soul and the spirit, we find a way to evolve. We evolve through these things. So it's almost like they're forcing an evolution out of us. And I don't want to seem like, this is the end or anything. I don't believe that it ends on when they say it ends. What I'm saying is that the nanoparticles and the radiation we're so bombarded by it. Even if you eat crops and greens for the rest of your life, what you're eating more than likely has nanoparticles in it, or they call invisible wet circuitry.
That's one thing, Ani. Just the more and more I'm leaning into the kind of knowledge that you share, and like trying to be healthier, and I got a long way to go with that. But like, who do I trust anymore, man? There's videos out there of like people that are so healthy and they're not buying processed foods and all that, but then there's somebody that'll debunk it and go, no, that's terrible for you. Everything is terrible for you, even if you're going as hard as you can into the most pure form of food and consumption. Is like, nope, that's bad for you too. I'm like, so am I supposed to just not eat anything? I can't even drink my water. Like,
how you said that, you sound very concerned.
I feel like I can't put anything in my body anymore because it's going to be bad. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. Here's the other thing, Ani, is like, yeah, there's a lot of dark stuff we talk about. And, it's not all doom and gloom, but it's all not sunshine and rainbows. So I just love having this type of banter. You got to be able to laugh in the face of darkness. Because I feel like most people aren't willing to do that. They're scared. They're too scared. They're uncomfortable. It's like, if you can lean in and laugh at it and be like, hey, it is what it is. Like you said, this radiation ain't going anywhere. You could do everything in your power to stay away from it, but it's there. So
it's called divine laughter. If you don't have divine laughter, if you can't laugh out of all the dark and things that you just said just now, I'm reiterating, like, you have to be able to laugh constantly. That's why I just laugh at this stuff. Like when I see the numbers, when I see the Gematria control numbers and it pops up, I laugh out loud.
I've literally laughed. I've been howling, be like, oh my God. Because it actually is pretty damn funny when you start thinking about it,
And I really want to study the metaphysics of laughter, because I think people who laugh and are more comedic in relieving themselves, if comedically is a word, I just feel like they have a certain youth that they preserve. There's a certain vibrant nature that they preserve no matter how old they get, and it continues. And I think that's why it was a lot of rituals around comedians, especially Cat Williams being the spokesperson of the truth stuff.
And
that
he was talking all about 201 on the Shannon Sharp show,
yeah,
right? 201 like 100 times. It was like, oh my God.
He was the 201st contestant on the Friday movie set. I was like, what?
Well, and hey, think about this, just high level. Truth in plain sight. A lot of truth comes in the form of comedy. So people look at it like a joke. Oh, no, this isn't real. This is a joke. We're making fun of it.
Right.
It's so easy to just put that truth out there and just condition people to laugh about it, because laughter feels good, right? I mean, it's like my favorite thing in the world. I love to just laugh at something. But when you get that truth fed to you in that form of laughter, then you don't take it as seriously because you're looking at it like it's a joke. But then what do they say? It's funny because it's so true.
Right. There you go.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's that whole overlap of like laughter, comedy, funny, and truth. And when you just put it over the top, that is a beautiful way to deceive people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't have to be so somber in the information, guys. Like, you guys see me, I'm a very serious person. I mean, I always had like the serious, the countenance on my face. People think
you're intimidating, honey.
Yeah, intimidating. Yeah. People think I walk somewhere, people think I'm about to kill somebody or something like that.
It's a compliment, and I'm sure some people might think I was making a racial joke, but that is not the case. You have that stoic face about you.
Yeah,
you're very stern with how you present.
I will back you and say it doesn't. I've heard it from everyone that you look, but I mean that's just whatever. But I'm a very fun-going person. If you ever went out with me, you would have a blast. We have fun. You would never know that I'm the occult guru of magic and stuff like that.
Well, hey, I don't know if you drink or anything like that, but if we ever cross paths in person, I would love to buy you a drink or a water. But then again, whatever we drink, it's going to be bad for us, right?
It doesn't matter.
But yeah, no, it's funny. I just got a ping here. TMZ, something about Diddy again. I can't get past it.
Well, okay. Something else happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get that TMZ
By
stuff.
the way, just to ping, because I think we need to have a Q&A and begin to wrap this up. But Cassie, the etymology of Cassie, you guys, is oil.
The etymology, what's that again?
Etymology is like when you go back to the syntax, the origin of the word, The origin of the word Cassie means oil.
Oh.
And then you
Well,
got
I'm pretty sure Cassie was just in that ping I just saw.
I'm pretty sure because they're in court right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So her name means oil, and all they're talking about is baby oil, and her being showered with oil. And so I just want you guys to know sometimes their names, it's just I just be laughing. I laugh because I mean I don't even know you like. Did you see the meme when they said Cassie's husband drive on the way home from court after hearing about all of the stuff that was done to her? I mean, I'm not making fun of what happened to her. But her husband, they put the guy from Stranger Things up, Will, crying from the Stranger Things meme. That was just hilarious to me because I don't know if I could stay married to someone after figuring out they'd done all of that.
Are you familiar with Gavin Blake 23? He does all those Batman videos.
No, I'm not familiar with it. I'm gonna look him up though.
I'll send you a couple of his things. His whole thing is like he plays Batman, and like Batman runs around Gotham City and he just beats the living hell out of anybody who does even something like jaywalking, you know?
Oh, really?
And justice and all that stuff. And there was one clip of, and by the way, he plays both sides. So it's like he's beating himself up as Batman, whatever. And he goes to the grocery store and he buys a cake for his like 8-year-old cousin's birthday or something. And then his grandma calls him and says, "Hey, my feet are really dry. Can you get me some baby oil?" And he's like, "Okay." And then he walks outside with a birthday cake and baby oil. And then Batman's like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "I'm just going to a party." And then he's like, he sees the baby oil, but he sees the cake and he goes, "Diddy party." He just beats the crap out of him. It's hilarious. You know, that's
what my son watches. He watches that stuff like he got the same thing with Spider-Man that does the same thing.
But once again, that's just about laughing and in the darkness. You know, occult. People are really buzzed by that word, occult. You know, it just means hidden. And you know, if you lean into the hidden, you see how I like to say it's beautifully terrifying.
Yeah,
like it's really scary, but it is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
when you really start seeing how perfect everything is, and that's what makes me feel that our creator, that's who I like to refer to, God, our creator, whoever made us, he's perfect, she's perfect, there is no gender. Our creator does not make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Our creator does not make mistakes. So
did you have a Q&A, or you got a split right now?
No, I got probably another 20 minutes. I know you and I talked about you know, camping at around 2 hours. I know you got work later and stuff. So
all right, I'm gonna put the link in the chat so you guys come on, but we're gonna be out of here very soon.
I also have a phone number I can put out, you know, if people want to call in.
And send me, post the number so I can
let me put it in the chat really quick. You're gonna like the phone number too, by the way.
Oh, really?
I just dumped it in the chat, so if maybe you want to pin it or something, if anybody wants to call in, this is an open line. It's not my direct number, but yeah, if anybody wants to call in, I'll take the call. We can entertain it, but otherwise you guys can put your questions in the chat. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun, Ani. Seriously.
Yeah, this has been great. We got to do this again, and that's the thing about it. I'm figuring out different people, different communities. I feel like we need to do this more on a regular, and not only that, we need to do something where we bring all of our platforms together to have a conversation, just like how we were doing with Truth Mafia. We're bringing about 4 or 5 platforms that people share different information, have similar thoughts on what's happening. Maybe not all the way similar, but we can exchange information and learn even more and build something where we have a camaraderie to the information.
We got a phone call, Ani.
Okay.
Hello, caller.
Hey, what's up? what's going on?
How you doing? Can you hear me okay? Ani, can you hear the caller?
I can.
Awesome. Hello, how are you?
Yeah, hey, what's up, Ani? Salute, brother. Salute to the pedal.
Salute, brother. What's going on with you, man?
I can't hear Ani.
Oh, you know what? Shoot, I think it's because of my headphones. So let me, I apologize, caller. Hold on a second.
No worries, no worries.
Sorry, go again. Ani said, what's up, brother? How are you?
What's going on, brother?
So, geez, man. Yeah, what's going on, Ani? All right, so Ani, I had a question, man. Like, as far as, you know, the state of the energy that's going on right now, how do you see, like, what is the demiurge role in all of this? Because I know the demiurge is really going in right now. I can feel the energy. I see it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I want you to watch my last video, Soul Elementals 2. I break down the whole Gnostic cosmology at the end of that video, and I break down the demiurge, the archons. And the play is with the demiurge, everything of the negative side, the entropic side of the energy has everything to do with them. But I also tell people to look at the demiurge as if when you come to the fork in the road and you have to choose which path, the demiurge is what creates the why we have to make a decision to make, you know, to decide which path we go down. And that's part of the reason why it's all effed up here, is because we have to make that decision. So it's not always all the demiurge is some type of demon, like how the religious, you know, dogmatic explanation of it is. Like there's something looming over us. They're a part of the planetary frequencies. So every planetary frequency has an archon and a demiurgic type program that runs with it. So we have to make these choices, and these choices sometimes become negative, and because it can become negative is the reason why the demiurge is very, you know, has an effect on our reality here.
Right, yeah. And by the way, I watched all your live streams, man. So I did catch that, you know.
Oh, you did catch it. Okay. Okay. What name you go by in the chat?
Say that again?
I said, what name are you in the chat? Try to recognize who you are.
Oh, Crypto Egregor. Crypto.
Oh, Crypto. Yeah. I know you are. Okay. What's going on, Crypto? And I appreciate your question, man.
What's going on, brother? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, but appreciate you calling in. Yeah, but thanks so much. That, you know, but back to what Ani was saying. You know, I did a live stream on a panel yesterday with the Occult Rejects. There were 5 of us on the panel. I was kind of the main guest, if you will. But yeah, strength in numbers, pun intended, right?
Right.
You know, I'm no expert. You're no expert. We're all students in this game of life. And we have another call. We have another call coming in. We got about another 10, 15 minutes left. Really quick. Let's see. Hello, caller. Hey, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. What's going on, Ani? This is Soul.
So what's going on, brother?
Going on. I had a question too. It was back from your last lecture. It was just where I could find the information with Sophia, where you had said it was a collapse of consciousness that had us here, but it was higher realms. So I was just trying to see where I could get that information and really dive a little bit deeper.
Whew, boy, that's a very good question. You're gonna have to pull some scholarship. It's not in a whole lot of books. Like I was explaining that Sophia is when we went through the collapse, which became the physical.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about is Gnosticism, and you have to look up different Gnostic cosmologies. I would say look into the 13 Aeonic Gnostic cosmology and see if there's any scholarship on it. But as far as a reference to books, a lot of people don't directly connect it to that. They'll just say Sophia was the fall aeon, the fallen aeon. So I reinterpreted that in a quantum way as the collapse of the field of when we came into the physical. So there's scholarship that backs up what I say. They just generalize it and just, you know, that's why we never get an explanation of what it is.
Okay, that's plenty though. Thank you. I've definitely been that when I heard that,
that really clicked. Like, okay, I know where I'm supposed to go next with my information. So I appreciate you greatly for that.
If I find someone who aligns with that scholarship and that philosophy, I'll send it right over. Just email me at startribe777@gmail.com. I'll send it right over this weekend.
Copy, no doubt.
All right. Thank you, so.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
You too, man.
Yeah, thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, I see everybody's question about Gnosticism. We didn't even talk about Gnosticism today.
We got another call. The phone line is blowing up as we're closing this out. So
it's going to be another Gnostic question.
Caller 769. Hello.
Hey, what's happening, man? Salam, Bay, man. What up, Ani? Appreciate y'all. I got a question. The question is about, every 80 years they say we have a major catastrophe or a war event. And my thing is with it being so much
turn the video down
all the time, do you think that us being conscious this time could prevent it or bring it on faster is my question. Sorry, I had to mute my TV.
Yeah, you had to mute your screen. Who's that question to? Is that to AJ or to me?
It's to you on.
He said what?
It was to you.
Let me clarify it again.
Yeah. It was to you, Ani. So yeah, if you can repeat your question, sir.
The question is, they say every 80 years that we have a major war. For example, World War I, World War II. Those are like, 80 years apart or whatever. My thing is that during this time, with everybody being so conscious, it seems like never before. Would that prevent the event, or could it speed it up? Is it like speaking into existence, making it faster, or does it have any effect?
So you're saying just because people are conscious of how these things have a strip to it, do you think that has an effect of preventing it or speeding it up? Is that the question?
Yes, if it can influence it at all.
It can influence it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that can stop it. All it can do is bring an awareness on other planes of existence, which makes it more perspective based on how it can occur and how it can be either prevented or how it can come about. But it doesn't necessarily mean because you're conscious of it that you're going to stop it from happening.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it because I know, like if you have a premonition, like a dream or something, sometimes you can do something to prevent, just kind of thinking on that wavelength. But appreciate you, man.
Yeah, that's because you're focusing on the event in your life. This is when you're talking war or something like this involves several different people's lives. So it's like if those people are synchronized on a egregoric level of thinking the same values, then yeah, maybe they can come together and prevent it. But today, we only the truther community is probably point percentage of one out here. It's not a whole lot of us who recognize and see it for what it is. So it's going to be hard to really prevent these type of things.
Yeah, I was just thinking on like a spiritual avenger type level, where few like-minded people come together and they got this, power to be able to manipulate certain forces, just that kind of idea.
It can. You got to go out there and go do it. If you want to prevent it, you gotta do some things. But yeah, you have the ability to change some things, but it may be some type of martyrdom type thing. So you got to make a decision and decide that's what you want to do.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate you, brother.
It's no problem. Yeah. And I'll make this clear, AJ. I'm not trying to martyrize myself to do something to prevent these things. I'm just trying to bring the light to people to understand it. You got to take care of your own life. You got to take care of your own destiny. And you more than likely, if you're into this information, you're the leader or the light in your community. So you have to think about what's corresponding around you than trying to save the whole entire world from some type of catastrophe. If that's your destiny to save the whole world, by all means, go live your destiny.
Yeah, and I guess to piggyback off of that, Ani, once again, it's been a huge pleasure connecting with you. Cassie says Diddy overdosed on opiates. That's the latest little ticker I just saw there. But yeah, no, this is a true blessing, Ani. I mean,
I'm sorry, that was that kind of hit me, but go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I come from a grateful heart, man.
Yeah.
You know, I've been following you pretty much since like 2020. I had no idea you've been in this space since 2015, 2014.
Yeah.
You bring so much to the table, man. Just beyond gematria, you're more of an expert than I am when it comes to that. But that's what I love about connecting with folks like you and doing panels and building the community truly, right? Not burning bridges, but building them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen this in the space.
Yeah.
You would think in the truth community, everyone's humble and like, hey, we just want to learn. But you know how divisive it really is, where people are like, I'm the best decoder in the world and I'm right and you're wrong and you're an idiot and all that stuff, right? And it's like, dude, if we lean into love and if we lean into each other and be like, hey, look, I have faults. I don't know everything. You have faults. You don't know everything. But if we lean on each other, that's what makes each of us individually stronger, but it makes the community stronger. And it builds that love, right? People lean into love. And so, yeah, that's kind of my closing comments. Right now, we're at an hour and 56 minutes, 9/11, the 156 prime. Ani, I'll tell you this. Here's an example. I never took the time to look at myself connected to 9/11. My 9th birthday, okay? My 9th birthday was exactly 911 days before 9/11. And that was when I was 11 years old. See what I'm saying? So I was 9.
God,
911 days later, I was 11, and 911 days on 9/11. That was what somebody in the community shared with me. I didn't ask them to do it. They just said, did you know this about yourself? And I'm like, no, that's crazy.
I think I was 11 years old when 9/11 happened.
You were what?
I think I was 11. I remember I was in 5th grade.
So you were born in what, 88?
No, I was born in 91.
Oh shit, I'm older than you? Hold on. So I was 90. I was born in 90. I had March 15th.
Okay, I was born 91, February 28th. I think I was 11. I'm not sure. I was either 10 or 11, one of those. But I remember specifically today, we were in the laboratory. It was in a science class, and we were doing endothermic experimentation. And I'm like, yo, that class was more advanced than any class I ever had in my life. And I was in 5th grade. And then on TV, we saw the towers blowing up, and the teacher was like shocked. We were just looking. We was kids. We didn't know what was going on. We knew something bad was happening, but the teacher was like, oh my God.
Well, and you were on the East Coast, right? So this was happening while you were probably already in school. Well, for me, I was on the West Coast. So I woke up to my mom saying, you need to come downstairs right now. Like, and then I come down and I'm eating breakfast, and then she has the news on, and I'm like, what the hell's happening? I'm 9 years old. Or no, I'm 11 now. I'm 11 the day that 9/11 happened. But you go back to my 9th birthday, that was exactly 911 days prior. So
okay, if you were 11, I was 10 then, definitely.
Yeah. So wow,
I appreciate you though, man, and we got to do this more. You guys make sure you follow my bro AJ on Ball Don't Lie on YouTube, and we're gonna come back and do this again. And I appreciate the live, man. Let's keep them going.
Hey, Ani, thank you again so much. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for the like and the subscribes. It means a lot. I'm brand new into the YouTube space, but Ani, I'm going to have Decoding with Cody on with Rambo next Tuesday, right? So my standalone podcast with Rambo every Tuesday, 10 o'clock your time. Decoding with Cody is going to be joining next week. I would love for you to be the guest the following week if you're available on a Tuesday night. I know you're typically busy, but any way I can get you to talk to Rambo, I would love to just be a fly on the wall and see you guys do your thing. So
I've been doing a Rambo. I would love to do that. We got to plan it. 10 o'clock is a little bit late, but we'll plan it and see if it could be made possible. I would love to do that. I love Cody and I love Rambo. I would love to do that. I will say that.
You just let me know. Decoding with Cody is also talking about doing a what he likes to call a round table, where it could be me, Rambo, Cody, Sean Desad, Widow's Son, you know, just the community jumping in. Hey, what do we want to talk about? Sometimes there's too many cooks in the kitchen. We all have things to share, but you know, a brilliant mind like yours, I would love to see you connect with Cody, connect with Rambo. I want to be a bridge as much as I can, as you are being a bridge today and allowing us to have a chat. So I had a freaking blast with you, man. And I really look forward to the next one. So thank you, Ani. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good one now.
Take
Peace.
care, folks.